Good afternoon and welcome to the Public Service Commission. It is Thursday, August 17th at 2 p.m. and we are here for our regularly scheduled business meeting. Let's take a roll call of commissioners. With us virtually we have Commissioner Powers and Commissioner Thomas. And with us in the hearing room we have Commissioner Justin Williams, Commissioner Carolee Williams, Commissioner Caston, and Chair Belser. And I note that Commissioner Irvin is on leave this week. Before we begin, I invite you to join me for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Scarborough.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, Vice Chair Powers and Commissioners. First item of business is to set the next regularly scheduled business meeting. Staff recommends that the next business meeting be scheduled for Thursday, August the 31st, 2023 at 2 o'clock p.m.
Our next regularly scheduled business meeting will be in 2 weeks on Thursday, August 31st at 2 p.m.
Thank you. Today we have 12 items on our utilities agenda and 9 items on the transportation agenda. Item number 1 is in docket number 2009-144C. This is a request from TracFone Wireless Incorporated, doing business as SafeLink Wireless Incorporated, for confidential treatment of its South Carolina customer report for the second quarter of 2023.
With regard to utilities, agenda item 1 is identified by Mr. Scarborough. Do I hear a motion?
Chair Belser, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Carolee Williams is recognized.
Thank you. I move that the Commission grant TracFone Wireless, Inc., doing business as SafeLink Wireless, Inc.'s request for confidential treatment of its South Carolina customer report for the second quarter of 2023.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Carolee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 2 is in docket number 2020-293C. This is a request from Cathect Communications Incorporated to cancel its certificate of public convenience and necessity to provide resold and facilities-based local exchange, exchange access, and inter-exchange telecommunications services in South Carolina, and for alternative and flexible regulation.
We've heard agenda item 2 identified by Mr. Scarborough. Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Caston is recognized.
I move that the Commission grant Catholic Communications Incorporated's request to cancel its certificate of public convenience and necessity to provide resold and facilities-based local exchange, exchange access, and inter-exchange telecommunications services, and alternative and flexible regulation in the state of South Carolina. I so move.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Caston. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carolee Williams.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 3 appears in dockets numbered 2000-600C and 2001-339C. This is notification of a pro forma internal reorganization filed on behalf of Intrado Safety Communications Incorporated.
Commissioners, we've heard agenda item 3 is identified by Mr. Scarborough. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Thomas is recognized.
Thank you. I move that the Commission accept as information the notification by Intrado Safety Communications Incorporated, Intrado Safety, and its indirect parent company, Guardian U.S. Holdco, LLC, Guardian, together the parties, of a minor pro forma consolidation of Intrado Safety and Guardian. While this pro forma change results in a change to the ownership structure of the parties, it does not change the party holding actual control of Entrado's safety and will have no material impact to Entrado's safety or its operations. No more than 15 days following completion of the pro forma consolidation of Entrado's safety into Guardian, both Guardian and Entrado's safety are directed to notify the Commission and ORS that the pro forma consolidation is complete.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Thomas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion carries.
Item number 4 is in docket number 2023-248C. This is the application of Fusion Cloud Services, LLC, for authority to discontinue the provision of certain telecommunications services and related features in South Carolina.
With regard to Utilities Agenda Item 4, is there a motion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Justin Williams is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, I move that the commission grant the request of Fusion Cloud Services, LLC, to discontinue certain telecommunications services and related features in South Carolina and approve the company's notice to customers. So move.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Justin Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 5 appears in docket number 2001-84C, which is a request from Metropolitan Telecommunications of South Carolina, Incorporated, doing business as MetTel, to amend its name to read Metropolitan Telecommunications of South Carolina, LLC, doing business as MetTel.
We've heard Utilities Agenda Item 5 identified by Mr. Scarborough. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Caston is recognized.
Metropolitan Telecommunications of South Carolina, Incorporated, doing business as MetTel, seeks to amend its name to Metropolitan Telecommunications of South Carolina, LLC, doing business as MetTel, as a result of its planned conversion from a corporation to a limited liability company. MetTel states that this change results from a change in a business organizational structure only and will not result in any changes in management, operations, rates, services, or regulatory obligations. Further, there will be no changes in network coverage. I move that the Commission grant the request for name change to its Certificate of Public Need and Necessity pursuant to Commission Order Number 2001-577. I further move that the Commission accept for filing only the remaining information from MetTel concerning its restructuring along with its updated authorized utility representative form. I so move.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Caston. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Caston, would you consider a friendly amendment to, instead of saying Certificate of Public Need and Necessity, that we change that to Public Convenience and Necessity?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I think they're the same thing. It's just that I think I'm more familiar with us using in South Carolina Public Convenience and Necessity. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote on the motion as amended with the friendly amendment, beginning with Commissioner Caston. Commissioner Caston voting.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 6 is in docket number 2023-121E. This involves the verified and unverified comments related to the electrification of the transportation sector in South Carolina.
With regard to utilities agenda item 6, is there a motion?
Chair Belser, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Carolee Williams is recognized.
Thank you. On April 6, 2023, the Commission opened docket number 2023-121E so that interested parties could provide verified comments pursuant to South Carolina Code Annotated Section 58-27-265, as well as 16 U.S. Code 2621D21. On June 26, 2023, the Clerk of the Commission issued an amended procedural schedule which allowed interested parties additional time to provide verified comments in this docket. Having received the verified and direct and responsive comments from the parties and having identified some common areas of interest for necessary next steps in determining the regulatory challenges and opportunities associated with the electrification of the transportation sector as required by South Carolina Code Annotated Section 58-27-265, as well as meeting the requirements of 16 U.S. Code 2621D21. I move the Clerk of the Commission schedule this matter to be heard on October 10th, 2023, and schedule pre-filing dates for the hearing. Parties may expound upon their verified comments with the Commission and any other significant topics that the parties believe are important. Witnesses may provide pre-filed testimonies and or adopt the previously filed comments for the purpose of establishing a record in this proceeding. I further move that the clerk set aside the afternoon of October 11th, 2023, as well as October 12th, 2023, should there be a need for any additional discussion. While the parties will not be prohibited from commenting on a particular area of concern, the Commission will focus the discussion on the following topics. Number one, reliance on a market-based competitive EV charging that is available to all citizens. Number two, the role of alternatives to demand charges in utility rates for EV charging that send appropriate price signals to customers. Number three, how to minimize the potential for cross-subsidization. Number four, creating rates that encourage third-party investment in EV charging. Number five, creating rates that are easy for customers to understand. Number six, the role that managed charging plays in EV charging and how best to incorporate it. Number seven, how utilities should coordinate with the private sector and NEVI resources to catalyze a competitive EV charging market. Number eight, the role of utility make-ready or incentive programs. Number nine, the need for different EV charging tariffs for DC, fast charging, and residential charging. Number 10, how to utilize capacity maps for maximum benefit. Number 11, filing of triennial transportation electrification plans with annual updates and its relationship to IRPs. Number 12, planning for EV charging stations along evacuation routes as critical facilities. Number 13, required upgrades to the electric grid, particularly transmission, distribution facilities, to ensure grid reliability. Number 14, any other significant topics that the parties in this docket and the Commission believe are important. I so move.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Carolee Williams. Is there any discussion?
Chair Belser?
Commissioner Williams?
Thank you.
May I ask a question before you begin?
Absolutely.
Rates have been referenced a couple of times in the topics, and I just want to make sure we are not setting any rates in this docket. Is that correct?
Not in this docket. We could identify next steps that are the contemplation of rates.
Okay, and so what we're doing in this docket is trying to get the issues out there that need to be considered as electrification moves forward in South Carolina. Is that correct?
In addition, we're responding to state and federal requirements. We have some timelines with regard to regulatory aspects of the electrification of vehicles, and we it is very possible that as a result of this docket, we will identify and in order next steps that need to be made.
But even though we've referenced rates a few times in the motion, there will be no change of rates as a result of this docket
Absolutely.
at this time.
I'm sorry that was confusing, but no, I appreciate the question. And this is not to talk about specific rates, but conceptual ideas of how rates interact with the electrification of transportation.
Thank you for that clarification from me. I appreciate it. And you're recognized for your comments.
The electrification of vehicles is becoming more and more prevalent, whether it's in a Super Bowl ad or EV charging stations at your favorite gas station or shopping mall, or the significant economic development associated with this industry. I mentioned a couple of times that the Commission has requirements associated with both federal and state requirements that we'll be meeting in this docket. So far in the docket, the Commission has already heard from 10 parties, and they are from diverse backgrounds, utilities, both private and cooperatives, convenience stores, clean energy organizations, suppliers of charging equipment, retailers, state government, and more. The topics that I listed are categories where these parties have already introduced testimony and perspective, and for which the hearing will then allow us to take additional testimony, ask questions of the parties as we fulfill our federal and our state obligations in this docket regarding the regulatory challenges and opportunities, as well as next steps within our jurisdiction for the Public Service Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any comments?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Justin Williams?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Williams, thank you for this motion. I think this is an area that is ripe for review. So I really think you're forward leaning. I want to make sure that I understand the outcome of the hearing, since we have the opportunity now to start with the end in mind. I am clear as to our state level responsibility to identify regulatory challenges as offered to us by the parties in the docket, and identify opportunities associated with electrification of the transportation sector. I am not so clear on the federal obligations that you reference. Could you help me there?
I brought state regulations with me, and I can certainly look up the federal regulation. And honestly, what I recall is that we needed to consider, and it is actually in the original docket material, the original motion for this particular docket, are the specific elements that the federal government requested that we consider. And in addition, we have a requirement that we conclude that consideration by around the middle of November of this year. If you want me to take a minute, I will find the original docket, which identifies around 4 requirements that the federal government is placing on us. Would you like me to do that?
If you're comfortable with that, I'm fine with that.
Okay. I'm just opening up the original directive, and let's see. It looks like I must have no, there are 4 of them. Okay. Contemporaneously, the Commission shall consider, as required by and in accordance with 16 U.S. Code 2621 D21, the federal statute requires that each state shall consider measures to promote greater electrification of the transportation industry, including the establishment and rates that, and I should have said, when I started reading each state shall consider, that I began a quote. So I'm quoting now from that point on from the federal code. A, promote affordable and equitable electric vehicle charging options for residential and commercial and public electric vehicle charging infrastructure. B, improve the customer experience associated with electric vehicle charging, including by reducing charging times for light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles. C, accelerate third-party investment in electric vehicle charging for light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles. D, appropriately recover the marginal cost of delivering electricity to vehicles and electric vehicle charging infrastructure. End quote. Additionally, 16 U.S. Code 2622B8B requires the Commission complete the consideration and make the determination under 2621 of Title 16 by November 15th, 2023.
Okay. And so what is the penalty if we decide not to do that?
The way I read this, we are required to consider and make a determination. I do not see a penalty, but I also see a lot of flexibility in the consideration and making a determination.
Okay. And so is it fair to say that the expectation from the parties would be for them to offer in reference to the federal law, to offer a pathway for promotion of electrification of the transportation sector?
With those four aspects in mind: affordability and recovering marginal cost, and looking at ways to accelerate for light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles, and improving the customer experience. I read the federal requirements as broader and the state requirements as much more specific and much more in line with our regulatory authority. So we are just one entity in the state looking to implement this particular federal rule. Do you want me to say that another way?
No.
Okay.
I'm just thinking a little bit. So my concern with the federal language that you offered is I'm unsure what that looks like for the commission to promote. Could you read it again? Promote.
Okay. Are you asking about today's motion?
The federal language that you read regarding.
Okay. In the motion, I did not quote anything from the U.S. Code, from the federal code.
Oh, I thought there was a reference to a federal obligation or federal.
There was reference to it, but I did not quote it. What I said was, it's a long sentence. Having received verified, direct, and responsive comments from the parties, having identified some common areas of interest for necessary next steps in determining the regulatory challenges and opportunities associated with the electrification of the transportation sector as required by, and I referenced the state statute, as well as meeting the requirements of, and then I referenced the federal statute.
Yes, ma'am. So in terms of meeting those requirements, I think when you read it, one of the requirements, or at least language used in the requirement, was promotion of electrification of transportation or adoption of electric vehicles.
So in the original motion, and this is where I was quoting from the federal language, the overarching, so this is a motion we've already passed, that we passed back in April, it identifies the federal statute requires that each state shall consider measures to promote greater electrification of the transportation sector, including the establishment of rates that, and then it identifies 4 elements that are associated with the establishment of rates.
Yes, ma'am. And so the expectation for the parties of the, I think, 14 listed would be methods to promote transportation electrification. I'm asking, should we expect to see that from the parties?
I might not choose to use those words, but it is to help prepare us for the electrification of the transportation industry that is evolving.
Understood. Okay. All right. Thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it, ma'am.
Commissioner Carolee Williams, could I ask for a clarification?
Absolutely.
I think when in your discussion, in your comments, you referenced that we've already received testimony. We haven't received really testimony. We've received verified comments and responses. Is that correct?
Attorney Belzer, Chair Belzer, if you tell me that, that is absolutely the case.
Okay, well,
as everybody in this room knows, you are talking to a non-attorney, but I appreciate the correction.
I just wanted
correction.
to, let's just be clear that we haven't had any live test. We've received some verified comments and responses, but no quote unquote, and I'll do air quotes, testimony. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to getting my law degree eventually, but
You may have I think you're auditing a class these days. So. Commissioner Caston?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I guess just hearing the questions from Commissioner Justin Williams and you, Madam Chair, and your gracious responses, as a matter of fact, Commissioner Carolee Williams. I think I've settled in that same place also, in that as far as the state code, we're to look at the regulatory challenges and opportunities, and as far as the federal law goes, to consider these things. I have not been under the impression that we are, I guess, pushing or doing any such as that, but simply fulfilling this role to gather information and go from there. Is that more or less the way you understand this?
I agree. I think that the federal code is put in place for 50 states and probably some territories to consider and determine as each state identifies best. And this docket is going to help prepare us to do that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Carolee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 7 is in docket number 2023-3E. This is a request from Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC, for confidential treatment of Exhibit 3 to Stephen D. Capps' direct testimony.
Having heard Utilities Agenda Item 7 is identified by Mr. Scarborough, do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Justin Williams is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and fellow commissioners, I move that the commission grant the request of Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC, for confidential treatment of Exhibit 3 to Stephen D. Capps' direct testimony. Witness Capps, Exhibit 3 contains proprietary and confidential information that, if disclosed, could negatively impact DEC's ability to safely and reliably provide effective service to its customers. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, with regard to Utilities Agenda Item 7, is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Justin Williams.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Carolee Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 8 appears in docket number 2019-108G. Staff presents for commission consideration acceptance for filing of the 31st and 32nd Amendments to the United States Department of Defense contract for Fort Jackson, filed on behalf of Dominion Energy South Carolina, Incorporated.
With regard to Utilities Agenda Item 8, is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Thomas is recognized.
I move that the commission accept for filing the 31st and 32nd Amendments to the United States Department of Defense contract, Fort Jackson, filed on behalf of Dominion Energy South Carolina, Incorporated.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Thomas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Carolee Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 9 appears in dockets number 2023-151WS, 2022-161W, 2022-166W, and 2022-167W. This is a request from CSWR, South Carolina Utility Operating Company, LLC, for confidential treatment of its customer report for the second quarter of 2023.
Commissioners, we've heard Utilities Agenda Item 9 as described by Mr. Scarborough. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Caston is recognized.
I move that the commission grant CSWR, South Carolina Utility Operating Company, LLC's request for confidential treatment of the customer report for the second quarter 2023. I so move.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Caston. Is there any discussion? I just want to note for the record, I believe I was on sick leave for the hearing in this case, so I was not able to vote on the original application. That does not preclude me from voting on these subsequent ministerial matters that may come forward. So with that noted, I will be participating in this vote. If there's no further discussion, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Carolee Williams,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 10 appears in docket number 2023-154E. This is a motion for admission pro hoc vici from Michael K. Lavanga, Esquire, filed on behalf of Nucor Steel Berkeley, a division of Nucor Corporation.
With regard to Utilities Agenda Item 10, is there a motion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Justin Williams is recognized.
Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, I move that the commission grant the motion for pro hoc vici admission for Michael K. Lavanga, Esquire, filed on behalf of Nucor Steel Berkeley, a division of Nucor Corporation. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Justin Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Justin Williams.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Carolee Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 11 appears in docket number 2023-70G. This is a petition to intervene out of time from Scana Energy Marketing, LLC, doing business as IGS Energy.
With regard to Utilities Agenda Item 11, as identified by Mr. Scarborough, do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Thomas is recognized.
I move that the petition to intervene out of time submitted by Scana Energy Marketing, LLC, doing business as IGS Energy, be granted. IGS Energy meets the requirements for the petition to intervene as described in Commission Regulation 103-825A3 and states good cause as to why it should be allowed late intervention in docket numbers in this docket. No objections to this petition to intervene have been filed, and allowing the late intervention would not prejudice any parties in this docket. Therefore, I move that we grant the petition to intervene.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Thomas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers. Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Now Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Carolee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Item number 12 also appears in docket number 2023-70G. This is a request from the Office of Regulatory Staff for confidential treatment of certain portions of surrebuttal testimony of Brandon S. Bickley that Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated labeled as confidential during the discovery process, unless or until the Commission rules otherwise, or until Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated agrees that such information is not entitled to protection from public disclosure or is no longer confidential.
Commissioners, we've heard Utilities Agenda Item 12 identified by Mr. Scarborough. Is there a motion?
Chair Belser, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Carolee Williams is recognized.
Thank you. I move that the Commission grant the request of the Office of Regulatory Staff to treat certain portions of surrebuttal testimony of Brandon S. Bickley that Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated labeled as confidential during the discovery process. I move that the Commission and ORS continue to maintain its confidential treatment of Mr. Bickley's surrebuttal testimony unless or until the Commission rules otherwise or until Dominion Energy South Carolina, Inc. agrees such information is no longer confidential.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Carolee Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Carolee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Madam Chair, that completes the Utilities agenda before the Commission today. Moving on to the Motor Carrier agenda, Part A, item numbers 1 through 8 are requests for Class C certificates. Staff recommends that these items be taken together, and I will review them for the Commission. Item number 1 appears in docket number 2023-245T, which is the application of Cartel Incorporated doing business as a Midnight Express Limousines for a Class C charter bus certificate. Item number 2 is in docket number 2023-246T, which is the application of Proficient Voyages LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item number 3 is in docket number 2023-244T. This is the application of Anderson McQueen Trucking Company LLC, doing business as Anderson McQueen Transportation for a Class C charter certificate. Item
Mr.
number 4
Scarborough,
Yes.
could I get you to just read the name of item number 3 again, please?
Yes. Anderson McQueen Trucking LLC, doing business as Anderson McQueen Transportation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Item number 4 appears in docket number 2023-247T. This is the application of Middleton Tri-County Transport LLC for a Class C taxi certificate. Item number 5 is in docket number 2023-249T, which is the application of Y Drive LLC for a Class C taxi certificate. Item number 6 appears in docket number 2023-250T. This is the application of Eastside Transportation LLC for a Class C charter bus certificate. Item number 7 is in docket number 2023-251T. This is the application of Eastside Transportation LLC for a Class C charter certificate. And item number 8 appears in docket number 2023-252T, which is the application of Supreme Care for a Class C non-emergency certificate.
Commissioners, we've heard transportation agenda items 1 through 8 as identified by Mr. Scarborough. Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Thomas is recognized.
I move that the commission approve the applications for Class C certificates in item numbers A1 through A8 as listed by Mr. Scarborough.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Thomas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Carolee Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries.
In Part B of the transportation agenda, item number 1 is in docket number 2022-264T. This is a request from Moray Transport LLC for a 3-month extension of time to comply with commission rules and regulations.
With regard to transportation agenda item B1, is there a motion?
Chair Belser.
Commissioner Carolee Williams.
Thank you. I move that the commission grant an extension of time until August 31st, 2023 to allow the company to come into compliance with commission rules and regulations. This extension allows for 12 months from the directive order date of September 1st, 2022 to come into compliance. If the company has not come into compliance by August 31st, 2023, they are encouraged to file a new application with the commission when the applicant is ready to comply with commission rules and regulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Carolee Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Carolee Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes all business noticed before the commission today.
Thank you, Mr. Scarborough, and thank you, Commissioners. Our next regularly scheduled business meeting is 2 weeks from today on Thursday, August 31st at 2 p.m. I wish everyone a good afternoon, and we are adjourned.